All right, ladies and gentlemen. So today we get into congruent triangles. Okay, and what does congruent mean? Well, congruent means equal. Okay, equal in size and shape. Okay, so how to find if triangles are congruent? Okay, so go ahead and copy this down. Okay, copy that part and then this part here. Okay, and then we're going to copy the examples. Of course, you can always pause the video so you can copy everything. Okay, but let's begin here. It says here, after you've copied this down, two triangles are congruent or equal if they have exactly the same three sides and exactly the same three angles. Okay, so remember, triangle means three angles, right? But automatically it also has three sides. So three sides and three angles must be exactly the same in both figures for them to be considered congruent, okay? However, there are cases where we are not given all that information. So sometimes we're going to be given two triangles like we have here, and we're supposed to determine whether they are congruent or not. But remember, we need to determine whether they have the exact same three sides or the exact same three angles. But notice here, this one does not give me the angles at all for any triangle. So there's no way I can verify that those angles are congruent. So in those cases, we have a separate way of determining here. It says here, in those cases, we can use triangle congruence theorems. So a theorem is just like a theory that has been proven here, a way to verify that these two triangles are congruent without having to show the exact three sides and the exact three angles. Okay, so let's look at the first theorem. Theorem number one is the SSS theorem, which stands for side, side, side. Okay? And you've already copied this down. If you haven't, go ahead and stop the video and copy it now. Theorem number one, or SSS theorem, says if three sides of one triangle are congruent to three sides of another triangle, then those two triangles are congruent, okay? So in other words, if we don't have any of the angles, but we have all three sides labeled and all three sides labeled on both triangles, then we can compare those three sides with the other three sides. If those three sides match the three sides of the other triangle, then we can say that these two triangles are congruent. Now watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to write letters at each vertex. Okay, so I'll call this A, B, C, and then this one I'll call it, well, I'm just going to label it like this, D, E, F, okay? So notice here, this one matches this one. I'm going to put a tick mark there and a tick mark there. Then this one matches that one, the one that has 4. Those match each other. I'm going to do 2 tick marks. And then finally, the ones with 5, I'm going to write 3 tick marks there. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Those 3 sides match these 3 sides. So I can say that these two triangles are congruent. And there's a symbol we use here to indicate congruence. You see? It's that symbol. It's an equal sign with a wavy crest on top. Okay? It's called a tilde. So here we have a congruent symbol that says this triangle is congruent to that triangle. Now, how would I write that as a statement? Well, I'm going to teach you guys that in another video, but let's go ahead and just write it here. Notice here how I went from 1 tick mark, 2 tick mark, 3 tick marks. So it would be A, B, C, and then back to A. So I'm going to say A, B, C. Forgot the little triangle symbol. Triangle A, B, C is congruent to, now, don't automatically think that it's going to be D, E, F. Okay, no. We have to write this in the correct order that we named this one here. So notice here, in the same order that we named this one, we named this one 6, 4, 5, right? So we need to find it this way here, 6, 4, 5. Okay, so we began with E, went to F, and then to D. So we're going to call it like this, E, F, D, because we went from 6 to 4 to 5. So yes, those two are congruent. What if I have no numbers at all? Okay, so go ahead and copy this one down, pause the video. Now notice here, we only have tick marks here. So this is saying that this tick mark is the same as that one, so that means those two sides are congruent. And I have 2 tick marks here, 1, 2. That one's the same as this one, 1, 2. And then this one has 3 tick marks, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So yes, we have, again, congruent triangles, okay? Now, I told you we were going to name them in a different video. So we're not going to name these, okay? We're just going to say yes or no. Yes, these are congruent. So yes, they are congruent, okay? What about this one here? Notice here, we have this side 8 and 8, so I could go ahead and put a tick mark there and a tick mark there. Now this side has 2 tick marks, so that means this one is congruent to that one, but that's all they show us. But take a look here, they share this side here. It's like they're back to back. So if they share that side, that means that that side is congruent to itself. So we could just put 3 tick marks there to show that it's congruent to itself. So shared sides are always congruent to itself. Okay, so these are also congruent. Yes, congruent. Okay, last one here. Notice we have 5 and 5, 5 and 5. So this looks like an isosceles triangle here. Okay, so here we have tick mark there and a tick mark there, and that's going to be the same with those two. Okay, so this side is equal to that side and that side is equal to that side. Okay, but we don't know, we don't have any information here to say that these are congruent, and we can't just say, oh well, they're congruent because these two are congruent, therefore the third side is congruent. So we do not have enough information here to say that these are congruent, so we don't know. Okay, so we won't say they are not congruent, but we will just say not enough information. Okay, it's possible that they are congruent, but we just don't have that information with us. Okay, moving on to the second theorem, theorem number 2, SAS theorem. So the last one we did was the SSS theorem, which is side, side, side. Well, now we have side, angle, side. Okay, so notice how angle is in between the two sides here. Okay, so that's what we're going to be focusing on here. It's if two sides and the angle in between of one triangle are congruent to two sides and an angle in between of another triangle, then those two triangles are congruent. Okay, so let me explain what that means here. Take a look here. We have 74 is congruent to this 74 right there. Okay, and then we have 46, we'll just do 2 tick marks there, is congruent to that one there. And then we have this angle here, 37, is congruent to 37. I can draw a little arc there, like that. Okay, notice how these two sides of this triangle have an angle in between them. Okay, so this is this angle, sorry, this side and that side, and then the angle that is formed by those two sides. Okay, notice here we have the same two sides and then an angle right in between them. Okay, so this is what we call side, angle, side. So yes, we say these two are congruent because the sides are congruent and the angle in between them is also congruent. Okay, let's take a look at this one here. So I see 2.5 here. I'm going to go ahead and put a tick mark there and there. And I see 1.7 here. I'm going to go ahead and put double tick mark there and double tick mark there. And this says 2.9, but I don't have a 2.9 here. So I can't say that those two are congruent. They may be, but I don't know. There's no information there, so I can't say. Okay, but notice here I have a little arc here and an arc there. That means this is congruent to that one, just like we did here, 37 and 37. We drew little arcs there. Okay, so notice here, this angle in between these two sides is congruent to this angle in between these two sides. So that would be another case of side, angle, side. Okay, so yes, these two triangles are congruent by SAS. Okay, side, angle, side. It wasn't necessary to verify that this was 2.9 and that was 2.9. If this was 2.9, then we would be able to use side, 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 SSS. But again, we didn't have that information here, so we just went straight with side, angle, side was congruent to this side, angle, and side. Okay. What about this one here? Notice we only have tick marks here. We have a tick mark here and a tick mark there, good. And then we have double tick mark here, double tick mark there, good. Notice this one has an angle in between these two sides, but this one doesn't. The angle that's congruent is way up here. Okay, so this one we would say is not congruent. Okay, because we don't have the angle in between that tells us that these two triangles can be congruent by side, angle, side. Notice we have side, side, but no angle in between here. The angle is up there on the outside. Okay, so we want the angle to be on the inside or in between these two sides, side, angle, side. This one has side, angle, side, but this one does not have. It only has side, side, angle, so not congruent. Okay. What about this one here? Notice here we have a triangle. It's sharing a side again. Remember, whenever there's a triangle sharing a side, then we go ahead and put double tick marks there, or if double is already being used, do triple tick mark. Okay. So notice here we have this side is congruent to that side. They both have a 90-degree angle. Okay, so they have that in common as well. They have that congruent. And then we have this side that is shared is congruent. So notice we have side, angle, side, and then side, angle, side. So this one is congruent by side, angle, side. SAS. Okay. Look at this one here. We have a tick mark here and a tick mark there. Okay. What about this shared side? They share that side, so I'm going to go ahead and do a double tick mark there. Notice here we have side, angle, side on top, but on the bottom we have side, angle, and then blank right here. The side is all the way over here. So if I went this way, it would be angle, side, side, which is not the same as side, angle, side. So this would not work. So we would say not congruent. Again, notice the angle has to be in between the two sides. Okay, this angle is not in between. If it were in between, it would have to be over here on this side, but it's not. It's over here. So this one would be not congruent.